Okay, so working on some stuff for Alec Baldwin, and then this little bit of follow up with what I found with the Rust movie set trial with Hannah Gutierrez Reed, and a lot of this. This stuff I'm going to show you here. The attorney already knows this. I already talked with him and sent this all to him. There's an old adage that if you can't dazzle with brilliance, you baffle with bullcrap. And there's another word that goes along in there, but I won't say it. But if you can't baffle with brilliance, then bedazzle with bullcrap, or however you want to say that. I don't really care. Here's the interesting thing: Hannah Gutierrez Reed. We hear about it, all those nasty silver primers, those silver primers. Now, you have to understand that all of the ammunition that she was dealing with the exception of some of the blank rounds, were already antiqued. They went through that antiquing process, and this is where the mix-up was. You had ammunition that was already antiqued that were dummy rounds. These are all empty cases. All of these primers are dead. Took care of all that. And if you look at the way the dummy rounds were sent in, very few do you have where you have firing pin. So right up here I have a witness mark of firing pin. Over here I have one with firing pin. And the rest of them you can see in that photograph, they use different methods to neutralize the primer. And the reason you do that is for a movie. I'll pull one out here. If you look at this one here, that looks like a live round, doesn't it? It doesn't have a dent in it, you know, where you don't see where the firing pin hit it. You don't see that. So, for a movie, this looks a lot better. Now, these are dummy rounds. Let's see. This is 45 long Colt, and you can see this is where I put it in a pistol, and I had the bullet off of it. Took the primer out, put it in a pistol, and fired it. So now I got a nice dent from the firing pin, and the primer is dead. It went bang. Now, what I did first was soak this in solvent, and there's several you can use. Medical grade alcohol is one. It's like 90% alcohol by content, which means 10% water. Your typical rubbing alcohol is like 70%, so it's 30% water, 70% alcohol. It's not strong enough. The 90% alcohol works. Acetone works. WD-40 actually works. I've tried several when I was studying this. I spent several months studying all this stuff. So the medical grade alcohol works. WD-40 works. Acetone works. Carburetor cleaner will work. Paint thinner will work. There's several different things that you can use. So what you do is you just let it soak overnight, and then you take the case. You drain the stuff out of it, obviously, or you're going to make a mess, but put it in a pistol. You fire it, and sometimes you'll get nothing. Most of the times you'll get nothing, but you will get a little puff, and a little snap. It's like a kid's cap gun, if you remember, you know, being a kid and having a cap gun. So this is 45 long Colt. Has a copper-clad bullet, so what they call full metal jacket or total metal jacket. I've seen it different ways. This is a round nose flat point. Some of them call them flat tip. So this full metal jacket, round nose flat point, and it has the BBs inside. I don't know if you can hear that, but it has the two BBs inside. So, but this stuff was coming to the set already antiqued. And then you have ammunition that doesn't rattle. Doesn't rattle. Looks like a live round. It's not a live round, but it looks like a live round, but it doesn't rattle. Right? You put your finger and thumb, and you're sitting there, and you can feel stuff going back and forth. It's already been antiqued. And you're thinking, well, the BBs are stuck, because that was one of the problems that she was having. So BBs were getting stuck. So what you do is we use one of these, and you take the bullet off. This is called an inertia puller or bullet puller. It's a common street term is bullet puller, but you know, she's called an inertia puller, which is fine. And you take the bullet off, and now you can look and see. You know, you can check it out. Do I got propellant in there, or do I got a ball bearing in there? Do I got some BBs in there? Are the BBs stuck? Okay, now they're unstuck. Okay, that's why she asked for one of those. So what did the prosecutor say? She wanted one of these so she could make ammunition. That is ludicrous. That's absolutely ridiculous. If you know anything about hand loading and making ammunition, yeah, this is one of the steps. Maybe. So if I take this ammunition and it has a copper jacketed hollow point, and I'm going to make dummy rounds for a movie, and I want cowboy action lead, like one of these, well, that's not a problem. I can take one of these. I can use one of these. I can take the bullet off. I can take the propellant out. I can soak it in solvent. I can neutralize the primer. I can put the BBs in here, and then I can get a lead bullet and put the lead bullet in there. Now I got a dummy round with a lead bullet. So I started out with something that's jacketed hollow point, but now I got something with a lead bullet on it. It is a dummy. The primer's gone, the primer's dead, and it's got 2 BBs in it. And then that's how you do that. So it's not real rocket science. Let me see here. See, this is cowboy action lead, and this one doesn't fit, so it's going to fall in there. But that's because this is a 45. But and this bullet's off of a 44. So, but that's how you make the ammunition. And you have the BBs in there now, and now it's a dummy round. And you know it's a dummy round because the BBs are in there rattling. This is another copper jacketed. This is got a bit of the antiquing process that I was working on, studying, and you got BBs in there. I don't know how well you can hear that, but see, the problem is if you send in live ammunition that's already antiqued, it's not rattling. But you have ammunition where the BBs are getting stuck. And so you're moving it back and forth. You're not hearing the BBs, but you can feel with your fingers something moving back and forth. And you're thinking, okay, well, those are the BBs. They're just not making any noise. And you have to be careful. It might be propellant. Because if you do the math, and I did, the weight of the propellant is almost identical to the weight of the BBs. You're talking grams. You're talking points of a gram. One BB, now I was using Daisy BBs, I think I have over here. Use Crossman BBs. You can use ball bearings, you know, whatever you want to use. And where did they go? Not seeing them. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Not seeing them. But I was using the Daisy BBs. I think I paid like $4 for like 1,000 of them. And they're 0.4 grams, 0.387 grams. So if you have 2 of those BBs, multiply by 2, and then if you're looking at how many grains of powder that's in there, it's not actually powder, it's propellant. We're using smokeless powder now, which we call propellant, not powder. But anyway, and you do the math on that. So if you're looking at 10 grains, 15 grains, 5 grains, or whatever, do the math on that. And you will find that the weight of that is very close to the weight of the BBs. So you have around, and this one you can clearly hear the BBs, but as an example, you're shaking it, you don't hear any BBs. And you're thinking, well, maybe the BBs are stuck. Okay, I have several that are dummy rounds that the BBs are stuck. They're not making any noise. But if you're moving it back and forth between your finger and your thumb, right? You can feel something moving back and forth, but you can't hear it. You have to be suspect that that's propellant. And so that's why she wanted one of these, to take it apart and check. And here's the sad thing. $20. This sucker is about $20. You can get them on Amazon, have them shipped to you. You go to a gun store and buy them. But either way, about $20. even if you paid $100 for it, you would know that as you take it apart, if it has BBs in there that are stuck or if it has propellant in there that doesn't belong. But this is the problem. You were getting ammunition that was already antiqued. It's already antiqued. And it's got a bullet on it. And the primer doesn't have a witness mark on it, does it? It hasn't been fired in a firing pin. So how do you know? How do you know? This is a fast-moving movie set. And then you have Sarah Zachary coming along. Oh, use these. Use these. These are good. Right? So, those are some of the problems you have in that case. So you have dummy rounds. This one's got a BB in it. Makes noise. This one's a 3840. But it's a dummy round. This one doesn't rattle. The primer looks good. Case is pristine. It's nice and shiny. The bullet is cowboy action lead, nice and clean and shiny. Is this a live round or not? Unless you take it apart, you don't know. You don't know. And that's why she wanted one of these things. And what did the prosecutor tell the jury? She wanted one so she could make ammunition. I don't know how she was supposed to do that without a press and some other tools that she needed to make ammunition, including the equipment that you need to remove the old primer and put a new primer in. She didn't have any of that equipment. And she doesn't have time for it anyway. She's not out making ammunition. That is just simply ridiculous. So those two are 3840s. These are 45 long Colt. If you look on the 45 long Colt, they didn't use firing pin. Now these are ones that I made. Because what I was trying to do was duplicate the picture that they had where they showed the court that this was proof that she brought live rounds on set because of that little silver primer. Now here's the thing. This is what she said. This was what she said. I had 2 boxes from another movie that didn't have primers in them. And that was that box. She had that box sitting on her knee. Remember that picture? And it's all blurry. You can look at that photograph. You study it for a bit. You can tell those don't have primers in them. But that photograph was blurry and you can't tell. And now you get reflection. Now you get some reflection on the edge. Oh, look at that. If this is a blurry photograph, look at that right there. Look at that. Because this photograph is blurry. And look at that. Look at that silver. That's that silver primer. That's what that is. That's what they show the jury. The styrofoam block that she had sitting on her knee, and there's some other things wrong with that too, but just on its face, let's just look at this. That styrofoam block that she had on her knee, all of that ammunition didn't have primers in them. And you know they didn't come from Seth Kenney because they were all brass. They were not antiqued. Everything that Seth Kenney sent in was antiqued. And he mixed up the live ammunition that was antiqued, mixed it up with the dummy rounds that was antiqued. And you have BBs that don't make noise. So what I did for the one attorney is I started recreating some stuff, and I was trying to back engineer and study how he made the antiquing process, that I never did get a firm on that one. But here's what she said. Oh, here's the jury. Look at all this ammunition. Look at all this ammunition. And let's get this one out of here. Let's get this one out of here. That one's beat up. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, there it is. There's that silver primer. Those pesky silver primers. And those were the live rounds. No, they weren't. No, they weren't, because CSI technician did not do this. This head stamp was cleaned. And the photograph that they showed the jury, these were all antiqued. This one was cleaned. And then I made a video for someone else, and I redid this, and I showed this again. So then I cleaned this one. Guess what? You got silver primer. Now, if you actually knew the truth, look at the different methods that they were using. I've used a pin, I used a nail, I used a small screwdriver, I used a punch. This is a punch from inside. I have another couple in here where punches were inside. This is a 3/16 punch that I punched from the outside. It's enough because when I have a holder, so what I do is I soak the ammunition and I let it drain and I let it dry, and then I take a small punch and just hit it. And if there's any primer material left in there, bang, you get a little bit of snap and a little puff of smoke. And if this one, yeah, so you see how dark it is inside? That means the primer went off, and that smoke coats the inside. So, but here's the thing of it. I'm trying to put this one back. Here's the thing of it. All of these have silver primers. All of these have silver primers. So I could go to court and say, look at this. Look at this. It's those silver primers. That's a live round. She brought live rounds on set. That's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. Does the judge care? No. Does the prosecutor care? No. No. The whole thing was to get Hannah Gutierrez-Reed convicted. However she had to do it. If you don't have brilliance, baffle with bullcrap. Remember what I said? The whole thing was to get Hannah Gutierrez-Reed convicted, because now she can go after Alec Baldwin and get him convicted. Think about the feather in her cap if she could get Alec Baldwin convicted. That would be a great day for her, wouldn't it? She doesn't care about Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. She doesn't care about her at all. She doesn't care about Helena Hutchins getting dead. She doesn't care about that at all. Where is the justice for Helena Hutchins? And Souza. Souza got shot too. Where's the justice for Mr. Souza? The justice for Helena's husband and her family. The children that she will never have. Where's the justice for the children that she will never have? For the grandchildren she'll never get to hold. Where's the justice for that? There's that pesky silver primer. And I use a little bit of acetone on a Q-tip. All of these have silver primers. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. But that's not what she wants to show. And the CSI technician doesn't know about firearms. She admitted she doesn't know anything about firearms. Did she ever pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm over my head here. I'm out of my element? She call Albuquerque Police Department and say, hey, can you come help me out? Did she call New Mexico New Mexico State Police and say, hey, can you help me out? Did she call Arizona State Police and say, hey, you got anybody that can help me out? There's no testimony that she ever bothered to get anybody to help her. That's really sad. She sent some stuff off to the FBI. And if you notice on the state's evidence, that ammunition where they said, oh, we found powder in this one. We found propellant in this one. And this was live rounds. And that's what she brought from home. No, if you look at that ammunition, it's been antiqued. So we know where it came from. We know where it came from. But it's enough to put her in prison. And then we get to Ricky Allen. Ricky Allen. He killed somebody with a box cutter. He did. Box cutter. Was it a box cutter like this? Was it a box cutter like this? No. They showed the one that was black with the yellow grip trigger. And when you press that grip, the blade comes out. And guess how far the blade comes out? About a quarter of an inch. What did the ME say? She was cut with a knife blade about an inch long. So when you use a regular utility knife, and I have one, but I don't have it here. I thought I did. When you use the utility knife and you click it open, that blade is an inch long. I measured it with the ruler and it was 7/8. But then when I measure it with the calipers, I get a little better measurement. 1.04 inches is the cutting surface. You know, the blade only comes out so far, but it's at an angle, so the cutting surface. 1 inch. 1 inch. Is that what Ricky Allen had? No. He has the safety box cutters that has a grip trigger. And you press that, and the blade pops out, and it comes out about that far. 1/4 of an inch. That's all it will do. Press the grip trigger, comes out about 1/4 of an inch, and that's it. Don't have any information. Just baffle with bullcrap. Baffle with bullcrap. And then you get to Karen Reed. Karen Reed. And I haven't looked into Kohlberger yet. But then you get to Karen Reed. You drove 24 miles an hour. Backwards. There's a Jeep parked back here. I was doing this because I was studying some shadows. But anyway. So you drive. There's a Jeep. That's not a Jeep. I understand it's not a Jeep. You take your SUV 60 feet and you drive backwards 24 miles an hour. And you hit John O'Keefe and you lock him up in the snow. You're going to hit the Jeep. Probably take out the mailbox too and anything parked behind the Jeep. But the other thing is, you're thinking, okay, 60 feet, she's going to go backwards at 24 miles an hour straight. Well, this is a little toy car. Does this have an engine? Transmission? Differential in it? No. It's got the little, cute little representation of it. Does this have an actual engine in it? Can I fire this up and drive it and steer it? This is an open end rear end. This is an open end differential, not a rear end, excuse me, but open end differential. There's the indicator of the differential. Here's the indicator of a differential here. So this is be 4-wheel drive, right? Right. So she's going to mash the gas 3/4 throttle in the snow. Now, is there snow and ice on the road, or is it snow melt? Is it water? Either way, the road surface is slippery. What happens when you mash the gas? 3/4 throttle, full throttle, half throttle, 1/4 throttle, doesn't really matter. But what happens when you stand on the gas at 3/4 throttle? You get wheel spin. Your tires spin because you're not grabbing traction. Physics is simple. Friction of rest is greater than friction of motion. So you have to get that vehicle up and moving, but it's on a slick surface. And then it's going to drive backwards. Now, if you have a front-wheel drive car, say you have two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive car, and I knew this because when I was a police officer, I had a Chevy Beretta. Had the unmarked lights and stuff in it. Okay, so here's my Chevy Beretta. Has a V6. Had the Z26, 1994, brand new, bought it. Z26 Chevy Beretta, bright red. And if you were on I-65 back then, and if you got pulled over by me, then you probably remember. But this is the drive tire. This is an open-end rear end, or open-end differential. It's not posi traction. It's not a spool. So what happens on a front-wheel drive car when you're two-wheel drive, and you give it a lot of gas, it drives to the right. Because this tire has traction, it's going to pull the car to the right. So when you do that, you have to have the steering wheel and be prepared to turn to the left in order to keep that car go straight. That's just a fact. That's not subjection, but that is a fact. So if I'm going to drive an SUV, maybe it's all-wheel drive. You have to know that. If I mash the gases, it's going to go straight back. If this is the main drive tire, then it's going to go this way. Okay? The other problem you have is you have toe on your front end alignment. You have toe. You have camber, and you have caster. And I don't have a good wheel to explain that, but caster is your problem. Caster is your problem. So when you have tires, and these are a terrible representation of tires, okay? You have a toe setting, and so what you do is you cock this tire in a little bit like this, and cock this tire in a little bit like that. So as you drive forward, it straightens out because the metal stretches. It's steel, but it still stretches a little bit. And it takes up a little bit of slop, and the tires straighten up. If you don't have that, you get uneven wear on the tires. Now, the other thing you have is camber. And camber is such, now this is the tire, and it's a terrible representation of a tire, I understand that. You can have camber, so the tire tilts in a little bit, or the tire tilts out a little bit. So you can have positive or negative caster. And what that's for is when you turn the wheel, notice how it flattens out? When you're going straight, and you're only talking about two degrees or so. And now when you go turn the wheel, now you got full contact on the roadway. Where before you got mostly contact on the roadway. But as you turn, it starts to turn. The tire wants to turn into the turn. And now anybody that drives a motorcycle, you understand what I'm talking about. Because when you turn, if this is a motorcycle tire, you don't have camber. You're neutral. You have neutral camber. But what happens when you turn right? The tire leans. Or, excuse me, that's left. Left and right, military right, military left. Okay. So when you turn left, the tire leans going left, and you turn. Your back tire stays pretty much straight, neutral. You turn right, the tire kind of turns like this, and you make the turn. And as you're going straight, now you're at negative, or not negative, neutral. You're at neutral. Now the other problem is caster. And I don't really have a great way to explain that. But if you think about the cart, when you go to the store, go to Walmart, shopping center, wherever, notice the tire. So you have the tire on the front. Okay? You have an upper control arm and a lower control arm. The ball joint is a little bit more forward than the lower ball joint, and what that does is makes the tire want to stay straight. So when you turn, and you take a turn, and obviously these don't turn, but you take a turn, and then you straighten up, the tire that's turning tends to want to go straight again. Now, when you're going reverse, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. So when you're going backwards, you have positive caster. Positive caster wants to turn the wheel. And see if I could draw this out, maybe explain this a little bit better. Let's see. If you look at a shopping cart, and that's a terrible picture. But this is negative caster. So as this wheel turns on the shopping cart, when you start going straight, it tends to want to go straight again. Because on a car, you have a tire. And you have a ball joint. This would be neutral. The upper control arm and the bottom control arm, lower control arm, they're on the same line. They're on the same line, just like this. Now, if I move the ball joint back here, that is negative caster. So when I turn the wheel, it wants to return to the straight line. When I reverse, and I'm going this direction in reverse, now I'm backwards, and my tire wants to turn. So the thought that you just went, where's the SUV? You just went 24 miles an hour straight back in the snow on a slick surface. It's snowing. You can't see very good. Oh, but your boyfriend is standing back here. And this is, okay, we'll make this her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's standing back there with the glass. And she runs back and hits her boyfriend and knocks him to the ground, which is what would have happened, or she would have run over him, which there's no evidence she ran over him. But a glancing blow, and he just pirouettes away and ends up by the flagpole. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because the minute you started backing up under that heavy acceleration, your vehicle is going to do this. So, in a straight line, her boyfriend, you got her boyfriend standing there at the curb. She's going to come back and she's going to hit her boyfriend, knock him. He's going to pirouette, just like a ballerina, and end up by the flagpole, right? No. No, absolutely not. So you drive backwards, and because these two are in alignment, but these are open-end as well. This is an open-end differential. It might have had a positive rear end, but I don't know. It's not a spool anyway. The spool's a little bit different. That means they're locked. So if she mashes the gas, her vehicle's going to go like this. She's not going to get anywhere near her boyfriend. She's going to be out in the center of the street. Okay? He would have to be standing here. So if this is, if this is the curb right here, he's going to have to be out in the street. For her to come back, because the car's going to want to turn, because it has positive caster, plus passenger side tires are the ones that are driving it, not the driver's side tires. And you have slippery surface, so the car's going to want to turn. It would have to be here for her to hit him. And here's the curb. The curb is over here. So the thought that he's sitting on the curb, here's the curb, and she's going to start right there, and she's so mad at him, she's going to back up and hit him. No, she would never get there. She'd drive right past him. And then the other thing, like I said, say she does hit him. Here's the curb. So here's the curb, and he's back here. And here's the Jeep, parked by the, what we got here? Okay, here's another that's 357 mailbox. Okay, so it's parked by the mailbox. There's the Jeep.